She gave birth alone in a hotel room and discarded her newborn in the ocean within hours. These damning words from the prosecutor echoed through the courtroom as Arya Singh, visibly emotional, stood before the judge. This was no ordinary sentencing. This was justice for baby June, a newborn whose short life ended in unimaginable tragedy. The courtroom was filled with heavy silence, broken only by muffled sobs and the judge's stern voice. You had choices. You could have asked for help. Instead, you made the unthinkable choice to discard your child like she was nothing. For this, you will spend the next 14 years in prison. Arya Singh's actions had not only taken an innocent life, but also shaken an entire community to its core. But how did it all come to this? To understand the full scope of this heartbreaking story, we need to rewind to 2018, when the discovery of baby June's lifeless body turned the Boynton Beach Inlet into the epicenter of a chilling mystery. It was June 1, 2018, a warm and sunny day along Florida's idyllic coastline. Families gathered on the beach, boaters enjoyed the calm waters, and kayakers paddled through the Boynton Beach Inlet. Among them was an off-duty firefighter seeking some tranquility after a long week. As he navigated the peaceful waters, something unusual caught his attention. A small object floating near the shoreline. At first he thought it was debris, perhaps a piece of driftwood, but as he paddled closer, a sense of dread washed over him. It wasn't driftwood. It was the lifeless body of a newborn baby, her tiny frame barely visible in the gentle waves. Heart racing, he immediately called 911. "I've found a baby," he told the dispatcher, his voice trembling. She's not moving." Within minutes, police and emergency personnel arrived at the scene, cordoning off the area. The discovery was met with a mix of shock and grief from the responders, many of whom were seasoned professionals. But this was something none of them could have prepared for. The baby was naked, with no identifying marks or belongings. Her umbilical cord had been crudely cut, and her tiny body bore signs of neglect. There were no witnesses, no suspects, and no immediate answers. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office immediately launched an intensive investigation. Detectives canvassed the area, questioning beachgoers and nearby residents. Flyers were distributed, and local news stations urged anyone with information to come forward. Despite their efforts, the case quickly hit a dead end. The baby had no identification, no birth record, and no one reported a missing newborn. As the weeks turned into months, the case grew colder. Baby June became a symbol of lost innocence, her story haunting the community. 3 years later, in 2021, a breakthrough finally came. Advances in genealogical DNA testing had revolutionized how cold cases were solved, and detectives decided to revisit baby June's case using this technology. DNA samples collected from the infant were submitted to a genealogical database. It was a long shot, but the results were promising. The DNA matched a distant relative, and from there, investigators began piecing together a family tree. Their meticulous efforts eventually led them to baby June's biological father. When detectives approached him, he was cooperative but visibly shocked. He revealed that he had dated a woman named Arya Singh around the time baby June would have been conceived. Singh had mentioned being pregnant, but claimed she had taken care of it. He had assumed she meant an abortion. Arya Singh, a 30-year-old Florida resident, was living a seemingly normal life when detectives began investigating her. She had a steady job, a small circle of friends, and no prior criminal record. But beneath her composed exterior lay a dark secret. Detectives obtained a warrant to access Singh's cell phone records, which placed her near the Boynton Beach Inlet around the time baby June was discovered. The evidence was damning, and when confronted, Singh eventually confessed. In her confession, Singh revealed a harrowing series of events. She claimed she hadn't known she was pregnant until she gave birth alone in a hotel room. The delivery was sudden and traumatic, leaving her overwhelmed and panicked. "I didn't know what to do," she told investigators. "I didn't even know if she was alive or dead." Instead of seeking help, Singh made a decision that would horrify the nation. She wrapped the newborn in a towel, placed her in a bag, and drove to the Boynton Beach Inlet in the early hours of the morning. Under the cover of darkness, she carried the baby to the water's edge and let her go. She didn't call 911. She didn't go to a hospital. She didn't even leave her at a fire station, Detective Brittany Christoffel later said. She made the conscious choice to abandon her child in the ocean. Singh's arrest in December 2022 marked the beginning of a highly publicized trial. In the courtroom, prosecutors presented a damning case. They described Singh's actions as cold and calculated, emphasizing that she had multiple opportunities to save her child but chose not to. She had options, the prosecutor told the jury. Florida's safe haven laws allow mothers to surrender their newborns at designated locations with no questions asked. Instead, she chose to abandon her baby like she didn't even matter. The defense, meanwhile, argued that Singh's actions were not premeditated. They painted her as a woman overwhelmed by circumstances, struggling with mental health issues and a lack of support. Singh herself expressed regret, telling the court, "I wish I could take it back. I pray every day for forgiveness." On the final day of the trial, Judge Brendan Sheehan delivered a scathing rebuke. "As a mother, you had a sacred duty to protect your child," he said. "Instead, you chose to abandon her. For this, you must face the consequences." Singh was sentenced to 14 years in prison for aggravated manslaughter of a child and abuse of a dead human body. She was also ordered to serve 10 years of probation upon her release. For many, the sentencing brought a sense of closure, but for others, it was a stark reminder of a life lost too soon. Baby June's case sparked widespread outrage and calls for reform. Advocacy groups emphasized the importance of safe haven laws and resources for struggling mothers. "This tragedy could have been avoided," one advocate said. "No child should ever have to suffer because a parent feels they have no options." The community rallied around baby June's memory, turning her story into a call for action. Schools and local organizations hosted events to raise awareness about safe haven laws, ensuring that no parent would feel as though abandonment was their only choice. Baby June's story is a heartbreaking reminder of the importance of compassion and vigilance. If you or someone you know is struggling with an unplanned pregnancy, remember there are resources available. Help is just a phone call away. If this story moved you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated on more stories like this. Together, we can raise awareness and ensure that no child suffers in silence.